I call the order of the meeting of the Verona Common Council for Monday, August 24th, 2026 at 7:01 p.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we'll have the roll. Yes.
I'm here.
I can do roll. Alder Helmke.
Here.
Alder Weiss.
Here.
Alder Lytle.
Here.
Alder Tucker Long.
Here.
Alder Swanson.
Present.
Alder Hoaxed.
Present.
Alder Harrison.
Here.
So you were like ready before, and I'm like, oh, he's about to talk. And perhaps Alder Hernandez will be joining us. He was supposed to join us electronically if he could, but he wasn't sure. Anyways, we got 7 people, which is quorum, so we can proceed. We will move on to item 4, which is public comment. If any members of the public wish to speak, now would be the time to do so. All right, seeing no one approaching the microphone, we will move on to item 5, approval of the minutes from the August 10th, 2026 Common Council meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions to approve?
I move to approve.
Motion by Alder Helmke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Harrison. Last chance for corrections. Seeing no corrections, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the August 10th, 2026 Common Council meeting, say aye.
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 Opposed, no? And the minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 6, which is mayor's business. First up, we have 6A, which is an appointment to Plan Commission. I'm appointing Michelle, so I got it up, Felber, to the Plan Commission slot. The previous Plan Commissioner, William Taylor, had to resign because he was looking for a home to buy in Verona and couldn't find one, and so he had to move out of the city, which is, I think, perhaps a lesson about housing, but she will fill out the rest of his term. And in case you didn't know, Plan Commission, for whatever reason, is the only mayoral appointment that doesn't require council approval. So, yeah. With that, we will move on to 6B, which is a proclamation for National Senior Center Month, which I will read to you now, once I find it in the packet. Whereas older Americans are significant members of our society, investing their wisdom and experience to help enrich and strengthen our community, and whereas the Verona Senior Center has acted as a catalyst for mobilizing the creativity, energy, vitality, and commitment of the older residents of Verona, and whereas through the wide array of services, programs, and activities, the Verona Senior Center empowers older citizens to contribute to their own health and well-being and the health and well-being of their fellow citizens of all ages. And whereas the Verona Senior Center has been a community partner in ensuring that older adults in our community are able to stay connected, safe, and healthy. And whereas senior centers affirm the dignity, self-worth, and independence of older persons by facilitating their decisions and actions, tapping their experiences, skills, and knowledge, and enabling their continued contributions to the community, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Luke Diaz, do hereby proclaim September 2026 National Senior Center Month and call upon all citizens to recognize the special contributions of the Senior Center participants and the special efforts of the staff and volunteers who work every day to enhance the well-being of our older citizens of our community. I just wanted to add, I think the Verona Senior Center is fantastic. I was on the senior commission as an alder and I learned that they do an absolutely wonderful job. And I believe our senior director is in the audience. I'd be happy to present it to you if you want to come up. And if, do you want to get a picture or?
Oh, I didn't bring a phone.
Okay.
Okay, sure. There's so many responsibilities.
I've been told we should do it. With that, we'll move on to 6C, which is a proclamation for the Building and Code Staff Appreciation Day, which I'll read to you now. Whereas building inspection and code staff are essential, not only in the industries in which they work, but to society by ensuring that buildings and infrastructure are safe for everyday use by our residents, businesses, and patrons. And whereas detailed review of building plans and the inspection process involved to achieve compliance help institute a path that keeps projects running efficiently. And whereas building and code staff review, inspect and enforce safe building practices and a variety of construction and critical infrastructure components, including structural, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and fire systems in residential and commercial buildings. And whereas building and code staff appreciation is intended to remind the public about the critical roles of our community's code officials, are largely unknown guardrails, are largely unknown guardians, but also guardrails of public safety. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Luke Diaz, do hereby proclaim September 1st, 2026, Building Inspector and Code Staff Appreciation Day in the city of Verona. Thank you to our building staff. And yeah, doing something quick. With that, I will move on to 6D, which is regarding a proclamation for Suicide Prevention Month, which I will read to you right now. In recognition of 2026 Suicide Prevention Month. This proclamation recognizes suicide as a preventable national and statewide public health problem, and suicide prevention as a national and statewide responsibility, and designates September 1st through September 30th as Suicide Prevention Month in Verona, Wisconsin. Whereas in 2026, suicide was the 10th leading cause of death overall in the United States and the second leading cause of death among individuals aged 10 through 34, with older adults age 80 and older experiencing the highest rates of suicide. Whereas in the United States in 2024, over 48,000 individuals died by suicide. Whereas suicide rates increased approximately 32% in the United States from 2000 to 2024. And whereas in 2024, an estimated 14.3 million adults aged 18 or older reported having serious thoughts of suicide, and 2.2 adults attempted suicide in the past year, which is 1.5 times more reported suicide attempts in 2024 than in 2023. Whereas in 2023, 2 in 10 high school students seriously considered attempting suicide, and almost 1 in 10 high school students reported that they had made at least one suicide attempt in the past year. Whereas in 2023, Wisconsin reported 921 suicide deaths, and in 2025, Wisconsin reported 3,167 suicide attempts. Whereas over 90% of the people who die by suicide have a diagnosable and potentially treatable mental health condition, although often that condition is not recognized or treated. And whereas the burden of suicide is estimated to cost over $500 billion in medical, work loss, value of statistical life, and quality of life nationally. Whereas the negative attitudes associated with suicidal thoughts and behaviors and mental health conditions work against suicide prevention by discouraging persons at risk of suicide from seeking life-saving help and further traumatizes survivors of suicide loss and people with lived experiences of suicide. Whereas if someone can get through the intense and short moment of an active suicidal crisis, they are unlikely to ultimately die from suicide. And whereas asking someone directly if they're thinking about suicide will not put the idea in their head, and most will be relieved when someone starts a conversation. Whereas most people who survive a suicide attempt, 85 to 95%, will not go on to die by suicide. Whereas 90% of the people in the United States believe that suicide can be prevented at least sometimes, showing an incredible shift in public understanding about suicide from decades ago when society viewed suicide as an inevitable outcome. Whereas everyone has a role in preventing suicide and can learn suicide risks and warning signs and encourage and assist those who struggle to seek help. Whereas organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention envision a world without suicide and are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, advocacy, and resources for those who have lost someone to suicide, who support someone who struggles or who have struggled themselves, and urge that we 1. Recognize suicide as a preventable national and statewide public health problem and declare suicide prevention to be a priority. 2. Acknowledge that no single suicide prevention program or effort will be appropriate for all populations or communities. 3. Encourage initiatives based on the goals contained in the 2024 National Strategy for Suicide Prevention and Wisconsin Suicide Prevention Plan, Strategies for Action and Hope. 4. Promote awareness that there is no single cause of suicide, that suicide is complex, that risk may increase for a person when multiple contributing factors, such as mental health conditions, substance use, and physical health conditions and pain and past trauma, converge in the context of stress, and that when a person has access to lethal means, they may die by suicide. 5. Develop and implement strategies to promote lethal means safety and increase access to and the delivery of quality suicide prevention, mental health, and substance use crisis care and treatment and recovery services. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Luke Diaz, Mayor of the City of Verona, do hereby designate September 1st through September 30th as Suicide Prevention Month in Verona, Wisconsin. And it's my understanding we have someone from Suicide Prevention Organization in the audience. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick and then I'll present you the...
Hi, I'm Kelsey.
Oh, in the microphone,
Hi.
sorry.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kelsey Passetti, and I actually went to school at Verona. I don't live here anymore, but when I struggled, it was in high school. That's when I first started to struggle, and now my life's passion is to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. So it means a lot to do this in my hometown, so thank you so much for recognizing it.
And thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Both phones, is that okay?
Yeah, I'll just swap out.
Thank you.
Of course. One more.
And the last item under Mayor's business is 6E, which is a proclamation regarding Hunger Action Month, which I will now read to you. This proclamation recognizes food insecurity as an issue that affects 1 in 8 residents in Southwest Wisconsin and supports efforts to increase nutrition security and equity within our community and designates September 2026 as Hunger Action Month in Verona, Wisconsin. Whereas Second Harvest Food Bank of Southern Wisconsin reports that over 72,000 people, including over 19,000 children in Dane County, face food insecurity, meaning they don't have enough to eat and don't know where their next meal will come from. And whereas food insecurity and hunger are a systematic issue that can happen to anyone, and people facing hunger often struggle with high living costs, expensive housing, underemployment and unemployment, and inaccessible healthcare, and whereas when people face hunger, everything becomes harder, students struggle to concentrate in school, workers have less energy and focus, families must make impossible choices between food and other essentials, and individuals facing chronic illnesses have worse health outcomes. And whereas hunger is not caused by a lack of food or a personal failure, but access and equity gaps prevent too many of our neighbors from getting the nutritious food that they need, and whereas organizations like Second Harvest Food Bank and its network of partner food pantries, meal sites, and hunger relief programs are working every day to close the gap, but it will take community-wide action to create lasting solutions. And whereas during Hunger Action Month, we unite around the rallying cry that we can end hunger when we all work together, recognizing that when individuals, businesses, organizations, and governments collaborate, we can build a community where everyone has the food that they need to thrive. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Luke Diaz, proclaim September 2026 as Hunger Action Month in Verona, and encourage all residents to take action by volunteering, donating, advocating, and raising awareness to help end hunger in our community. Is there someone from this organization in the audience? Okay. Well, I will still sign the proclamation. Thus concludes Mayor's business. We'll move on to item 7, announcements. Any announcements from the council? Seeing no announcements, we'll move on to item 8, which is the administrator's report. Ms. Freewall.
Hello, thank you. I don't have anything specific to say except for that, oh, sorry. I don't have anything specific to say, but you all received an updated report that added a plan commission item. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll move on to item 9, engineers report.
Thank you, Mayor. So Rick Etherton here. Carla Fish and I are just in the process of swapping, so I served as her backup earlier, and now she's going to serve as my backup. So she's still working with us and will be a great resource going forward, but I'm looking forward to continuing to be even more involved in Verona items going forward. Not a whole lot to report. Page 4 of the engineers report, just have a brief update on the West Side lift station. So bids were opened last month. No bid was awarded. It's currently under review, just looking at opportunities for cost reduction before a potential rebid. And then page 8, Zach Topol and I are working on getting the recordings for the stormwater facility inspections to the city, and then working with staff to get that updated on the website to make that available. We'll add a new item for the Military Ridge State Trail in the next engineers report, because construction is anticipated to start next month on that. And then you may have already, if you've driven by County M, you may have seen that Aldi is under construction, so we'll have a brief update on that. But happy to answer any questions now or in the future.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Eilertson? All right. With that, we'll move on to item 10, committee reports. First up, we have 10A Finance Committee. Alder Homke.
I make a motion for payment of the bills in the amount of $829,623.50.
Motion by Alder Homke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Homke.
Yeah, we have three major bills today. The first is for commercial recreation specialist, Tollefson Park playground equipment for $37,367. Second to James Patterson Sons, Inc. for the Mark Drive reconstruction for $282,218. And third to Strand Associates, Inc. for engineering services for miscellaneous projects for $52,469.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on the motion to pay the bills? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of paying the bills in the amount specified signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Homke.
I move to approve resolution number 26-031, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $2,515,000 of a general obligation promissory note series 2026A.
Motion by Alder Homke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Lytle. Alder Homke.
Subject to satisfaction of the conditions set forth in section 17 of this resolution, the mayor and city clerk are authorized, empowered, and directed to make, execute, issue, and sell to the financial institutions that submitted the proposal, the purchaser, for on behalf of and in the name of the city, notes aggregating the principal amount of not to exceed $2,515,000. The purchase price to be paid to the city for the note shall not be less than 99% nor more than 110% of the principal amount of the notes. Projects funded by the borrowing include the Verona Avenue Main Street intersection study, bridge work for the Military State Trail, and upsizing the West Side wastewater pump station pumps and associated work. The debt for the bridge work and the intersection study is assigned to the general levy, and the debt for the upsizing of the West Side wastewater pump station pumps and associated work is allocated to TID 11. I believe in this, instead it said the mayor and the city clerk. I think it should have said the mayor and the city administrator is what it said in our meeting.
Oh, was that the motion?
Yeah.
Okay. So it should be, okay. Mayor
Oh, that
and
wasn't in the motion, that was just in the description.
description. Okay, thank you. Mr. Taves, anything to add?
No, I have nothing to add other than just to clarify. So the mayor and the city clerk are authorized to sign the bond documents at closing. What we had mentioned in the finance committee meeting is that the city administrator or finance director treasurer, they are actually authorized by the parameters resolution to accept the winning bid on the day of sale. So that's the distinction.
Okay, motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, All those in favor of resolution number 26-031, authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed 2,515,000 general obligation promissory notes, Series 2026A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Humke.
I move to approve the quote for BS&A cloud upgrade and authorizing staff to enter into a contract per the terms of the quote.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Humke.
The city currently operates BS&A, its enterprise financial and accounting systems, on an internal server. While the existing environment can support BS&A in the short term, BS&A has indicated that its on-premise application will eventually be sunset, requiring the city to transition to BS&A Cloud if it intends to continue using the system. The city's IT provider has also identified other benefits of moving to BS&A to the cloud. BS&A's current proposal includes a one-time implementation and upgrade cost of $69,400 and an ongoing annual subscription of $54,410 for a first-year cost of $123,810. The proposal currently expires August 20th, 2026, although staff has requested an extension. The city could continue operating BS&A on its planned replacement server, but doing so would require continued infrastructure, IT support, maintenance, and software administration costs before an eventual cloud transition. Staff recommend the Common Council approve the quote and authorize staff to enter into a contract in accordance with the terms to begin the transition to BS&A Cloud. The one-time $69,400 implementation cost would be covered by the city's IT infrastructure capital budget, while the ongoing annual subscription and maintenance fees would be budgeted as an operating expense. To add to this, I will say that in talking with DeKind, which is our IT provider, he is here. One of their people is here today to answer questions if anybody has it. If we had to keep it not on the cloud, which is our current status quo, we would have to put approximately $35,000 server in. So that cost would be eliminated. We have this fund that we put aside when we prior to hiring DeKind for these types of projects, this is anticipated to be included in the 2027 budget. So if we can use the fund balance, we could start the project sooner.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Tucker-Long.
So in moving to the cloud here, do we maintain control of all of our data? And this might be a question for the representative, but my questions are, do we maintain control of all of our data? Is our data used for anything on your end that's not our usage of it?
Well, one question.
Sorry, one question at a time.
Is the green light on?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, so I'm Brandon with DeKind. As far as how BS&A uses, the city's data, I actually don't have a good answer for that question. I'm sure it's buried in their, license agreement somewhere. I could figure it out. But right now, all of it gets streamed back to BS&A anyway. It's just also locally, hosted here. So they have all the data already. I'm not sure about ownership when it actually moves, though.
Okay. And what happens if their service goes down?
As far as like a momentary, issue, or could you be more specific at all?
So let's say the internet connection goes down here at the building, or something goes wrong on their end and we lose access to the cloud for a few hours or a couple of days. How do we function here?
So they have servers all over the country with data redundancy. So really the only risk to not being able to access it is the city's internet connection. If there's some sort of issue at one of their data centers, it'll just fail over to a different data center. The odds of all of them going down at once is very low. It essentially would just be a website. Websites don't generally go down very frequently, just with all the redundancy built in.
That might be a question for Mr. Lamers as well. Like, what are our downtime procedures?
Yeah.
It only really happened to us once when our server was down where we couldn't get it back up, and it was a payroll. So we ended up looking at last payroll and just doing an ACH transfer to employees, and then the next payroll, we did the adjustments for. So I mean, there is backup stuff we can do that if our system does go down.
Okay. And you'd still be able to look at last month's because that's a different system? Or like now that you're moving things to the cloud, do we still have that same backup opportunity?
Well, everything that's on our server would actually go to the cloud because it's BSNA going from BSNA. I mean,
Right.
they're just going to transfer all the data and we're just going to go on a cloud environment.
And do we get backups of the data that we keep locally here?
We actually have to run the backups.
Yeah, and we have backups, but, we have cloud backups and local backups. But with this going to the cloud, we wouldn't have any way to get a backup of that. So they would handle all the backups on their end, even if they were to give us the data, since we wouldn't be paying for, or they essentially are going to stop making the on-premise application. We wouldn't even have a way to read that data. It wouldn't be in a format that would be usable at all by anyone but BSNA.
Okay. And if we ever want to switch away from BSNA in the future, are we able to get our data back from them?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to double check, some language, I'm sure, and how they do it, but any of these large, reputable finance companies, they just have APIs that other companies can use to migrate from one cloud to the other. Super common practice, so.
Okay. And I'm sorry, but I caught your name, but not who you are.
Oh, Brandon, I'm with DeKind. I'm a senior network engineer. I do, most of the IT for the city at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
So DeKind is our IT
IT
support.
support.
He's
Okay.
not representative of BSNA.
Gotcha.
Any additional questions?
No, I would just make an additional comment of a lot of stuff is going to the cloud. I would strongly encourage staff to double check the contract to make sure we're not feeding AI with our data, but also that we do have full access to reclaim our data if we want to switch to a different solution, and that they will give us our data in a non-proprietary format so that we can take it somewhere else. Just because a lot of companies do try to lock you in so you can't leave.
I guess then I would ask you a follow-up question. Did you want to make that condition to final approval by the city administrator to verify that's not in the contract? Or if it is not adequately guaranteed in the contract, they'd have to come back and talk to us again, or?
Yes, would I make an amendment to the motion?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I would like to move that we amend the motion to include the city administrator checking that we do retain access to our data and are able to get it back in a non-proprietary format if we wish to leave the service, and also that none of our data is going to be used to train AI or feed AI or sold to third-party companies.
Motion to amend by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Humke. Amendment to the main motion before the body. Questions or comments on the amendment? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of amending the main motion to require final review by the city administrator to verify that no data is being used to train AI and that we can get our information back in a non-proprietary format, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And we're now back to the main motion with the amendment. I'll just call it myself real quick. I mean, I know the cloud is super convenient and everything, but maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon, but I generally don't like it just because we get locked into fees and we don't control the data. But unfortunately, that's just where everything's going. And it's really hard to find home hosted, server-side solutions that we can deal with. So part of me doesn't like it, but part of me is well, I guess this is the future. So, and I will say there are a lot of conveniences to have them deal with the servers so we don't have to deal with them. Other questions or comments on the main motion?
I just want to add, right now, we have departments that are not on BSNA because they are not hooked into the server, where with the cloud, we will get all our departments like library, senior center, fire on where they can actually look at their own accounts and look at their own financial data instead of making copies of everything or us sending them copies back, so.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the quote for BSNA cloud upgrade, along with the authorizing staff to enter into a contract, subject to final review and approval by the city administrator to verify that no data is being used to train AI, and that we can get our data back in a non-proprietary format, signify by saying aye.
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 Sorry, what did you say? That wasn't part of the amendment, so it was? Okay. Okay. We'll talk to Jamie about it. Opposed, no? Okay, and that motion passes as amended. Anything further from finance?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, with that, we move on to 10B, Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Commission. Alder Tucker Long.
All right. I would like to move to approve ordinance number 26-1112, amending various sections of Title VI in the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Actually, before there's a second, if I'm going to make an amendment to this, can I just do it in the main motion, or do I need to make the recommended motion first and then amend it?
I guess it would depend on how far you are straying from the recommended.
Not far.
Okay.
I'll make an amendment. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Who seconded that? Alder Host. Sorry, who was that? Okay, Alder Harrison. Okay. There's two people to your left, so I wasn't sure who you were pointed at. Yeah, okay. Alder Tucker Long.
So this ordinance update modernizes and clarifies the city's urban forestry regulations. The amendments update terminology throughout the chapter, replacing references to the city forester with the director of parks and urban forestry, reorganizing definitions and clarifying the director's authority over public tree management, nuisance abatement, inspections, planting plans, and enforcement. Overall, the revisions update the ordinance to reflect modern urban forestry practices, improve public safety and tree health protections, and provide clearer administrative procedures for tree planting, maintenance, and removal. And I would like to make an amendment that was approved at the Parks Commission. So I move that in addition to the changes proposed, that we also move section 643 sub B to be under section 646. And the reason for that is because 643 is about the director's ability to enter private property. And so the planting of trees would go under the tree planting section, which is section 646. So it's just been pasted under the wrong subheading. And then the second update is to 6-4-5 sub B, sub 1, sub B, which is blank. And then there are two item Cs. So one of the Cs needs to be moved up to B so that we don't have any duplicates there.
Were both these changes made at the commission level, or was only the
They
first
were
thing?
both approved at the commission level. Alder Hooks can perhaps confirm. We talked about those two things.
Well, then I guess before we vote on the amendment, I don't necessarily know if we need to vote on that if we're passing the recommended motion out of the commission, or is it worded differently in the packet?
It's not, the changes are not
The
represented in the
changes didn't make it
packet.
in the packet. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Motion to amend by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Motion to amend is described by Alder Tucker Long. Questions or comments on this amendment? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of amending the main motion as described by Alder Tucker Long signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And the main motion is amended. Questions or comments on the main motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 26-1112, amending various sections of Title VI in the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, as amended by Alder Tucker Long's motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. I move to approve ordinance number 26-1113, amending Title II, Section 2-4-13 Cemetery Board, Title 12 Definitions, Section 12-2-5 Purchase of Lots in the City Cemetery, Section 12-2-6 Ownership Rights of Burial of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Verona.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. With the adoption of ordinance number 26-1105 at the July 13th, 2026 Common Council meeting, the title of Park and Recreation Director was changed to Director of Parks and Urban Forestry. While the ordinance update removed most references to the former title, a subsequent review of the municipal code identified several remaining inconsistencies. The purpose of this ordinance is to eliminate any inconsistent references to that title that is now known as the Director of Parks and Urban Forestry. References to a Parks Director or a City Park Director are removed and replaced with the title Director of Parks and Urban Forestry.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 26-1113, amending Title II, Section 2-4-13, Cemetery Board, Title 12, Definition, Section 122-5, Purchase of Lots in City Cemetery, and Section 12-2-6, Ownership Rights of Burial, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from Parks?
Nothing further from Parks.
Excellent. With that, we move on to 10C, which is Plan Commission. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. I move to approve ordinance number 26-1114, amending Title 7, Chapter 15, Section 7-15-2, definitions in the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, Wisconsin.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Hoeks. Alder Swanson.
The proposed ordinance amendment adds a clear definition of primary residence for purposes of short-term rental applications, particularly applications for rentals of less than 7 days. The amendment establishes criteria for determining an owner's primary residence using the following: the residence shown on the owner's state-issued identification, the address listed on the owner's Wisconsin income tax return, and the residence claimed by the owner for voter registration purposes.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Lytle.
I don't want to hold this up, but I know we got a revised administrator memo, but aren't these normally included in the packet in terms of what was presented in a staff report to Plan Commission? And my bad for not asking about that previously. Not that this should hold anything up, but just a note for future council packets.
Yeah, so my understanding is that this is a follow-up on issues that we raised at the last Common Council meeting. We have not had a separate report on these at Plan Commission since. I think this is following up directly to us instead of the Plan Commission. I think the mayor might be able to confirm that as well.
Yeah, I believe that's true. And yeah, it was a miss from the packet. It should have been in the packet. It wasn't.
Okay, so since the last time City Council discussed this, the Plan Commission hasn't put forward any revised recommendations. This is just acting on a previous recommendation.
That's correct. And I think it comes through Plan Commission because of the nature of the ordinance in question, not because Plan Commission has talked about it.
Thank you.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, usually we only have one a month. So questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 26-1114, amending Title 7, Chapter 15, Section 7-15-2 definitions in the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, Wisconsin, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no? And that motion passes. Anything further from Plan Commission?
Nothing further.
All right, with that, we move on to 10D, which is Public Works, Sewer, and Water Committee. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. I move to recommend approval of Project 2026-114, West Verona Avenue and Epic Lane Water Main Replacement, Design Service Contract, AECom, for a contract sum not to exceed $93,400.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. The water main project will be installing new water main and upsizing the existing water main to increase capacity serving the Epic campus. Staff recommend contracting design services with AECom. AECom will coordinate with the designers of the new turn lane along westbound West Verona Avenue and merge lane along Epic Lane to construct the new water main prior to beginning the street project.
Okay, motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Alder Harrison.
I shall abstain from this vote.
Alder Hernandez.
I will also abstain from this vote.
Okay. Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the design services contract with AECOM for water main replacement project along West Verona Avenue and Epic Lane signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes with Alder Harrison and Alder Hernandez abstaining. Anything further from Public Works?
Nothing further from Public Works.
Excellent. With that, we'll move on to item 11, which is new business. First up, we have 11A, which is regarding a discussion and possible action for a resolution number 26-030, resolution in support of grant application for Wisconsin DNR Urban Forestry Grant Program. Ms. Farwell. Or did you?
Do you just need me to read it?
Yeah, sorry. It said grants, so I'm just like, well, that's kind of
Okay, yes, that's my deal. But I can't make a potential motion, can I?
correct.
Okay, so I should just skip to the second bullet point?
Yeah.
The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Urban Forestry Grant Program provides communities with financial assistance to improve and maintain their urban forest canopy. The grant program is designed to support projects that preserve, restore, and expand community tree resources while promoting long-term forest health and public benefits. The City of Verona is seeking authorization to apply for a grant in the upcoming funding cycle to support tree removal and replacement planting efforts along the Military Ridge State Trail. In the event the city can leverage grants related to the trail, the Military Ridge State Trail care and maintenance staff are requesting approval of this resolution.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Swanson.
I'll move to approve resolution number 26-030, resolution in support of grant application for Wisconsin DNR Urban Forestry Grant Program.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second? Second by Alder Tucker Lung. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Lytle.
I just point out that there was quite a bit of public concern when there was a project along Badger Mill Creek, and a lot of really invasive species were removed as part of that. Similarly, with the Military Ridge State Trail changes, some of those trees are unsafe for people to be underneath. Some of them are invasive, but there will likely be a very different view people have of the trail in some sections. So anything we can do to be extra in the way of outreach and kind of pointing out examples of why this tree might be removed based on some of this urban forestry guidelines, I think would help us and help folks understand that this is to the benefit of the trail and the canopy long-term, even if in the near term, folks might be seeing some more daylight through some sections. And that's not going to prevent people from complaining and thinking we're out to take down trees that shouldn't be taken down, but just early and often, if we can work on that outreach, I hope we can do that.
Understood.
I guess I would build on what Alder Lytle said. And just, if it comes down to certain trees are too tall to put next to the trail, can maybe some medium height or shorter shrubs or something. Just because I think from spending a lot of time talking to the public, people tend to just like stuff like shrubs and trees. So maybe we can't have a black walnut dropping nuts all over the trail, or a box elder, which they're a great wetland tree, but they lean and tip over. I know that stuff's all going to have to come down, but maybe we can find some other kind of compromise that'll make people, I don't want to say happy, but maybe not as mad at us. But motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 26-030, resolution in support of grant application for Wisconsin DNR Urban Forestry Grant Program, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Next up, we have 11B, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the electric vehicle charging station site host agreement, which is Hometown Community Park and Park Lane sites between the City of Verona and Dane County. Ms. Frywell.
Thank you. So this item has to do with electrical vehicles station site host agreements between the City of Verona and Dane County for Hometown Community Park and Park Lane Lot, which is by the Sauzier, and authorize the city staff to administratively approve any future electric vehicle station site host agreement between the City of Verona and Dane County, so long as the agreement takes the same form as the agreement for Hometown Community Park. In August 2024, the U.S. DOT announced that Dane County and its partners would receive $13.2 million in funding to implement Charge Up Dane County. The funding comes from a bipartisan infrastructure law. Charge Up Dane County is a regional initiative to install EV charging stations at locations that would otherwise be unserved. The City of Verona submitted 4 sites for consideration to receive the new charging station. Dane County has selected and proceeded with all 4 sites, which are located at Hometown Community Park, the Park Lane Municipal Parking Lot, City Center, which is this building, and the Verona Public Library. By signing the agreement, the City of Verona agrees to host a charging station, which will be funded, installed, and maintained by the county for the first 5 years. The city will provide electricity and collect a fee from people using the stations that will cover the city costs associated with the stations. After 5 years, the charging stations will become the property of the City of Verona.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item?
Once they become our property, oh, sorry, I should raise my hand.
Alder Hernandez.
Thank you. Once they become our property, how much do we expect them to cost as far as maintenance goes?
Ms. Frywell?
That is a question I'm not prepared to answer. Sorry.
But I think it's something that we can look into and just see over time.
Yes.
Questions or comments or motions? Alder Lytle.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the electric vehicle station site host agreement between the City of Verona and Dane County for Hometown Community Park, Park Lane, and the Park Lane lot, and authorize city staff to administratively approve any future EV station site host agreement between the City of Verona and Dane County, so long as the agreement takes the same form as the agreement for Hometown Community Park.
Motion by Alder Lytle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Weiss. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the electric vehicle charging station site host agreement, Hometown Community Park and Parkland sites between the City of Verona and Dane County, and also the additional empowerment of staff to enter into a future agreement, a site host agreement between the City of Verona and Dane County, so long as the agreement takes the same form as the agreement for Hometown Community Park, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no? And that motion passes. With that, we move on to item 11C, which is a discussion and possible action regarding ordinance number 26-1115, amending various sections of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, regarding gender-neutral language. Ms. Frywell.
While additions and amendments to City Code of Ordinances use gender-neutral pronouns, many older provisions have not been updated to reflect the same standard. The purpose of this ordinance is to replace gendered pronouns with gender-neutral terms throughout the code. Minor language adjustments may have also been made where necessary to maintain grammatical consistency. And point of personal order, I'd like to thank Eric for doing a lot of work on this degendering of our code.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions? Alder Tucker-Long, then Alder Humke.
I am super excited about this. Thank you very much. And I move to approve ordinance number 26-1115, amending various sections of the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, to gender-neutral language.
Motion by Alder Tucker-Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Humke.
That was my
That was your,
plan.
okay. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 26-1115, amending various sections in the Code of Ordinances, City of Verona, regarding general neutral language, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no? And that motion passes. We move on to item 11, which is a discussion and possible action regarding the amendment to display of flags policy. Ms. Frywell.
The proposed amendment provides that a city facility shall display either the U.S. flag or the Wisconsin flag at all times when any flag is flown.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Tucker Long.
Did we ever determine if this is a legal requirement or if this is a city preference?
Mr. Kleinmeyer?
My understanding is the only requirement is that the U.S. flag be flown at the city center. But I think that Jamie put this together in light of the discussion that you had at the last meeting regarding the flag policy at a site, I think it's the Art House site. And so essentially, he just wanted to be consistent with what your discussion was at the last meeting.
Okay, and I don't know if staff can comment on this since Jamie's not here, but is there a reason we don't want to fly the Verona flag? Or as one of the options, is there a reason it should be the state or the city, or state or the national flag?
Ms. Rowell, I don't know if Jamie brief, or
I might
Mr.
be able to
Alec.
answer. I just know there are certain locations where we just don't have the ability to fly certainly 3 flags or even 2. And so I think his thought process, and I don't want to speak with him, but those are the 2 most appropriate flags to fly, I think.
Okay, and then that leads me to a third question of, is this going to be removing flags from any locations by putting this in if we have locations that we can only fly 1 flag?
That was not the intent.
Yeah, and I don't believe that it is, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Other questions, comments, or motions? Alder Humke.
I move to approve the amendment to the display of flags policy.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Swanson. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the amendment to the display of flag policy signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no?
No.
And that motion passes with Alder Tucker Long voting no. With that, we will move on to item 12, which is adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Hoax. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Humke. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed, no? And we are adjourned at 7:53 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Do the first on the